Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do a make with some of the Beebeecraft products that I recently unboxed, and if you missed that I'll have a link up here and you can follow that back through and see what I unboxed. One of the products was this tassel maker, and it came in a kit with the yarn as well. So, and the other things that were in that unboxing were beads and bead caps and things like that, but I'll be playing with them in the second video. So today we're going to play with this tassel maker. Now, if you haven't seen Beebeecraft, all the links will be below for the products that you see here today, the tassel maker and the threads, and you can follow those links through all down below in my description, and you can also follow the links through to the other things in that unboxing, the beads and all that sort of thing. So today let's work on this tassel maker. Now let's have a look at the tassel maker first. It has two little knobs here that you unwind, and that can adjust your tassel maker to a long one. So you've got these little notches here on the side, so you can make a tassel that would be, let's have a look at our ruler, 13 centimeters, or you could make a tassel, if you push it right in, that is 9 centimeters. Now, in saying that, that is a tassel that is the full length, okay, and you would make the knot like up here, right up here. If you want to make a tassel this like this, what you do is you put your notches right where you want them and tighten those. And then we will put the knot in the middle. Okay, so that's going to make a smaller tassel, okay, when you put the knot in the middle. If you want a really long tassel, put the knot of the head of the tassel right up the top, but I'll show you all that as we go along. Now, you've also got these little notches here on the back. You can see that there's an angled notch just here. That's where you'll anchor your thread. And you've also got little arrows on here that show you the middle of your, you can see that in the light there, that show you the middle of the tassel maker. And the one last thing, this groove along here is where you get your scissors and you cut your thread. Okay, so they're all the parts on the tassel maker. It's a fairly simple little gadget, but it works well. I've gone ahead and made one little tassel here just to show you. Now, the instructions say this one makes a 3 centimeter, 4 centimeter and a 5 centimeter tassel, and that's all if you fold it in half. Okay, like I said, if you put that knot, this knot here, in the middle. But if you put the knot right up on the end, I'm just going to sneakily show you one that I have made, you will get a longer thread tassel. Okay, right, let's go ahead and make a tassel now. Now, this kit came with threads. I'm just wondering whether to put it right out. I might put it in the middle one. Okay, you've got 3 different notches here, and you line that notch up with the other notch on the back of the tassel maker. Line that up and you tighten it. Okay, so you've got that length, which is, it says 11 centimeters, but it's going to make us a tassel that's half that size. Okay, so about 5.5 centimeters. Right. All right, and I am going to choose a color. Maybe I'll choose this orange color. So it comes with a pack of 12 colors. Now, if you want to make a tassel this fluffy, it will take up the whole skein of that. Okay, and that's what we'll do today. And I've just got to undo this skein so it doesn't get all tangled. It's not one of my favorite things is to undo these skeins, but if you find the middle, then you can try and undo them with a little less hassle. So I just undo the thread first because I don't want that getting all tangled as I'm actually making the tassel. I've had a little play with it this morning and played with some of my own threads. These threads are nice and soft, beautiful soft threads they are. Right, now what we do to start, we're going to make one like this, is we just slip our thread right down into that little angled piece there at the back, and that will anchor it in. Right, and then we start winding, and I'm not winding with huge amounts of pressure, it's just taut. Okay, you don't want to put heaps of pressure on this, just wind it so the thread is taut and doesn't curl. Now where have you gone? Oh, almost. Oh no. Oh no. My goodness, I can't believe I managed to get that untangled. It went down into the you know, the rollers on your office chair. It went down in there and got stuck all in the slot. Oh. What the joys of being on camera. Something always goes wrong. Alright, wind your you got to give yourself a little bit of length to play with all your ties and everything. We got one here that just didn't want to play. Alright, make sure you give yourself a little bit of length to play with at the end, like I said. So we go to the back and we anchor it in the slot on the other side, so it gives you this Z sort of pattern on the tassel maker, and just clip that off. Okay, so you've got a little bit of length left, which is probably about 50 centimeters, and I've got a knot there, so I'll clip that so I can work with this thread. Alright, I'll put that one out of the way. Alright, you've got this all wound on there. Now make a loop and come in the back of all the threads that you've wound and go through that loop. Okay, have a look on the back. I can see on the back that the arrows are here, so I'm going to tighten that up. Okay, where the arrows are, and that's my middle. And then I'm going to, I think it's called a reef knot. You know, you go over, but then you go over again, and that will pull your knot in tight without it coming loose. Okay, so pull that in tight and then just do another knot to fasten that off. Alright, so we've got our middle tied here. Now we're going to get our scissors and we're going to go in these channels and just hold it and cut that thread off. And we're going to just hold that down tight like we had it, so it cuts it in the middle, and cut them off. Right, and we take it off our maker, and this is what we have. Okay, so just cut it like that. Alright, we get our other piece of thread and we're going to bend this in half. So you just pay attention to where your little knot is. It's there, so flip that into the middle, so cover it all up with your tassel thread like that. Okay, just pull it all down. Okay, we're going to make just a little bend in our thread and put that little loop under your thumb. Okay, ignore that one. Grab the longer piece and we're going to wind that around at least 4 times. Okay, hold on to that end and let go of this one, and then we're going to put this shorter end through that loop that we had under our thumb and pull. Okay, give that a pull, and then we'll just give it another knot, and that will secure that. Now grab your needle and thread it up, and we're going to hide both these ends. Okay, so just go under that, what we just tied under that loop, and pull it, and it'll pull that knot down into the center. Okay, we thread up the longer end. I'm going to do the same here too. We're going to push that down under there, under the what we just tied. Which one was it? This one. And that will snug that knot down so it doesn't look too, you know, doesn't stand out too much. Alright, we've got the little pom-pom part of our tassel made. Now we're going to do the top. So what you need to do is grab the rest of your thread and loop it, and we're going to tie a double knot on one end. Just make sure you have the hanger part the length that you want it. Okay, and then we'll do another knot that's going to sit on top of that last knot just to bulk it up. Some people here like to put a bead on, but you don't need to. And then we're going to clip that off right near the knot. Okay, and then we're going to thread this back on the needle. Make sure you've got a needle that's got a good eye. Okay, and then we are going to just blow on your tassel, or just separate it so that you go in the middle of it underneath, and then bring your needle up and pull it, and that will hide that knot right up in there. You won't even see that. And then this loop that we did up here, we're going to go under that and through that loop. Okay, and then take it off here and you have your tassel. Now you can go ahead and grab a comb, give it a comb, get all those threads coming down the right way, and then hold it like this and give it a haircut. This is where you need some scissors that are really sharp, some good sharp fabric scissors to give this haircut. And then give it another brush, give it a couple of brushes, because they will go in sort of different directions, not directions, but you know, they sort of, when you cut it goes on an angle sometimes. And then you can clip those ones off too. Give a little shake and you have your tassel. Isn't it cool? So we've got 2 tassels there. I made one earlier, and I'm just going to clean up this mess and we'll do another one. Alright, let's do a pink one. And what we're going to do for this one, you can, instead of just having just one tassel, you can layer these up. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a layered tassel. I'm going to do green, pink, and I think I might do orange, these 3 colors. Right, so just keep in mind one of them needs a longer end on it, like this here. Okay, so you pick the one that you want to have a longer end. In this case, I'm going to choose the pink, so I'll have to undo this. I hope I don't get it caught on my chair again. I might come back when I've undone these hanks. Alright, I've unwound these hanks and hopefully they won't get tangled for me. I'm just going to, like before, slip it in that notch. Okay, put it to the back, and then we wind up all of that one. And remember, this is the one I wanted to have the longer handle, or you know, not handle, what do you call it, the this part, the string, the hanger part of the tassel. So I want to leave a little bit more of that one, because I use, oh no, I've got another pink one, so I could do that. I might be able to use up the whole thing, because I do have a look. But you could put a different colour hanger on. Different colour hanger would look cool too. Right, I've wound that up, and I'm going to secure that at the back. Right, I've got that on there. I'm just going to get a little bit off this one, and we'll do it with that. Getting hooked on everything. Right. Now cut a piece off like I did before. Okay, and we're going to fold it in half. So you've got a little loop like that. Put it around the middle. And get that thread out of the way. Put it around the middle so you've got your loop, and take this end through the loop. Okay, and tighten it. Have a look on the back to see if you've got your thread in the middle where those arrows are. Okay, and remember, I'm going to do one of those knots again. I'm just going to tighten that, and then I go 3 times around, or twice around, and then pull it down, and it will tighten up and not go loose on you. And then I'm going to do a knot in the other way, like a square knot. Okay, and that will secure your thread really well. Then we get our scissors and we cut one end. Okay, just hold your finger down. It's probably best to hold it up like this and hold it down while you cut the other end, because you want them cut in the right spot. Okay, take it off. Okay, I'm just going to cut off those ends. Right, and we're going to fold this over so our little knot is inside our tassel. Just pull all your threads down. Okay. Grab your other length, and we're going to put a little curve in that, like a little loop, and put your thumb on the loop, and then go around the head of your tassel 4 times. Okay, grab this little end and take it back through that loop and pull. Pull that tight, and then we're going to finish the knot. Okay, you thread that up, thread the small end. Make sure you catch all the threads. This is a stranded thread. and then just thread that back in under where you made that this previous knot around the head of it. Okay, and then do that to the other thread as well, the longer thread. Make sure you'll cut some of that off. I'm just going to thread it under there, and it'll come out somewhere in the tassel. Okay, and that's the main part of your tassel. Let's cut that off. Okay, we'll set that aside for a second. Now we've got to determine how long, like I want to put 3 on top of each other like this. I want to do a triple tassel. So my pink one is going to be the bottom one, and then I'll have another one and another one. So I need to leave enough pink thread to go all the way up through 3 of them. So I'm thinking if I cut that in half, that would probably be enough. Right, you've just got to determine that, because your tassels might be different lengths, so you have to determine what length you will need for that. Okay, so I am going to then thread this one up, and I'm going to put a double knot in the bottom, just so that it catches in the middle of that tassel. Right, clip it off close to the knot. Go to the middle of your tassel underneath and come out at the top. Okay, and that will hide that knot up in the tassel. Then we're going to go over this loop and back through there. Right, so that's your main tassel done. Then we're going to make 2 more, but the 2 more, this one's the only one that's going to have the thread on it. Okay, the hanging thread. The other 2 that we make won't have the hanging thread. We have to brush it and trim it, because you can't brush and trim it if you've got triple tassels. They have to be all done before that. Okay, I'm just going to give it another brush. Give it at least 2 or 3 brushes, just to in different positions, just to clip off anything that is longer. Okay, put that over there. Now, I'm no tassel maker expert. This is the first time I've actually used a tassel maker, so I like to have a go at things a first time, so that I can show you if it's easy or not. Because if things aren't easy, I sort of go, oh, I'm not gonna, I won't bother with that. But this seems to be really easy to do, and I'm enjoying the process. So it's a cool little gadget, which is just quite easy and simple. And yeah, so we just snag our little thread in that back section and wind on all our green. Okay, we're just going to snag that in that little niche as well. Right, I'm going to cut this off, and I only need a little bit for this one, because this is going to be my hanger for the whole 3 of them. So I'm going to make a loop like this, put it around the bulk of the thread and go back through that loop. Right, and I'm going to look on the back to see if it's in the middle. Yep. And then we're going to tighten that up, tie a knot that can keep that nice and tight. And then do another knot. Okay, and that will disappear down into the tassel. So we cut one end. Okay, hold on to it and cut the other end. And take it off our tassel maker. Right, I'm just going to snip down now those tails. And we are going to fold it over. I do need a little piece of green, but this could be any color because it's going to be hidden up inside this tassel, right? But I'll show you that process. So just pull all these down. Make a little loop and put your thumb on the loop. Wind it round the head. Whoops. Okay, we'll put your thumb on the loop. And wind it round our head 4 times. Take this shorter end and go back through the loop. And tighten. And then we'll tie a knot. Now these ones here, we don't need to thread it back down and hide it because it's going to be hidden in the pink one. So, but we do need to trim it. Okay, so grab your comb. I couldn't find a comb anywhere. I had to snitch this one out of Dave's hair cutting kit. And then we're just going to trim that down. Get rid of that mess. Right, now what we're going to do, we are going to grab this pink one and that's going to get threaded up inside this one. So find the middle underneath your tassel, thread up this pink, your first tassel, and we're going to thread this pink one up inside the green one. Okay, and hold it so that it doesn't all get tangled up. And I'm going to pull that so that this tassel goes up inside the green one. Okay, and then we're going to pull that down. We're going to go over this green loop and back through that loop. Okay, and that's ready for the next tassel. Right, our next color is orange. And look, you could do these tassels as many as you wanted in a row. You could so go to town on it. Alright, we'll pop that inside there and go to the back of it, and then we'll wind this one up. Okay, we're going to anchor that in there and cut it off. Anchor that in there. Okay, make our little loop thread and go at the back of all the threads we've just wound on and back through that loop. check to see if it's in the middle. Yep. And I'm going to tie that off. Okay, and then we cut it off our tassel maker. And this other end, just pull it down so that it cuts at the right length. Right. Then let's cut off our lengths that are hanging down. Right, so in this little knot here, we hide that inside the tassel. Okay, and we've made a loop. We're going to put our thumb on the loop like all the other ones, and we're going to go round. I didn't leave much string on this one. And then we'll pull that other thread back through the loop. Pull that tight. Give that another knot. And I think I might just leave, those knots are pretty neat, so I'm just going to brush that down so it sits nice down like that. And then we trim it. Okay, and then I'll just get that out of the way. And then we thread up our pink one again. Tip over this one and find the middle underneath. I'm going to thread up. Give it a nice push. Make sure that head of that tassel hides in the middle. Pull it up. It's come unthreaded. And then we go back through that loop on the top of the orange one and back through the pink loop to secure it. And then you've got a nice chunky layered tassel. Isn't that cool? Just brush them so they all sit nice. Isn't that cool? It's so cool. Now I could have trimmed them probably a bit shorter, but you get the idea. I just love that. Alright, so that is how we make tassels with the tassel maker. So I hope you enjoyed looking at that today. That has given you an idea now how to use it, and then I will go ahead in the next video. I'll just clean up all this fluff. You get a lot of fluff on your desk when you're making tassels. And in the next video I am going to be using the beads with the tassels. Okay, and I've had just a tiny little play with that, and like I showed you previously with one of them, come back in my next video and we will look at putting some beads on some tassels. These this thread is some of my hand dyed thread that I did with the Inktense, and they've come up so pretty. Right, so these are the tassels that we made today. This is the big chunky triple tassel, which is so cool, and then just the normal, you know, singular tassels. But just keep in mind that you can change the size of these tassels. You can see the size difference here, and that is because I didn't tie it in the middle, I tied it up higher. So I'll show you how to do that in my next video when I come back and I show you all these pretty beads. These are gorgeous. This was in my unboxing, and I'm going to add some of these gorgeous beads to some tassels in my next video. So I hope you enjoyed looking at that today with the tassel maker and the threads, and yeah, like, share and subscribe. And if you're interested in the products, the tassel maker, the threads, the beads, it'll all be down below in my description box. And don't forget, at checkout you can get 10% off your products using my coupon code Valita10. Alright, so don't forget to check out Beebeecraft, and everyone needs one of these little gadgets in their craft tools, because I've never had one before, and I've never made tassels before, and these were so easy to make, so easy and quick to make, and I just enjoyed using my own threads as well as these beautiful neon threads. I just love neon colors. Totally love it. And you know what, I might even in my next video add some beads to this as well. Alright, that's me for today, and in another week's time, don't forget, I will go and do my second video for Beebeecraft with these products, and I hope you join me for that. So in the meantime, take care and have a great day. Bye.